everybody on this Monday night. It is the GST, and I'm not talking about George St. Pierre. I'm talking about the Gift Snap podcast. You know me, the bad Superman himself, and on location, live from Las Vegas, celebrating his birthday. Only true players could party on a Monday night, but he is the notorious PIMP Antoine Smooth. Had to get him to take five for a minute to come do this show with me. What's going on?
Man, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, I want to be you right now. Like I said, you out there in Vegas celebrating your birthday. They all then came back. I heard all the ladies that came back. I heard Peters and Cream showed up. I heard Ebony and Essence showed up. I heard Sweetest and Quiet Stuff. All of them that showed up. Yeah, they all grown. They probably married and got kids now, but they all showed up to celebrate your birthday. Like I said, I don't know who parties on the Monday night other than the notorious one himself, but he took the time, came to the show. I'm going to get him back partying in a little while, but man, we got a good show tonight, and this one was at the request of one of your fans. Matter of fact, what do you call your fans?
I don't know. Let's see. Do I call them? We got different types of names for pimps. You know, you got your pimpettes, my pimpettes. That's it. Yeah.
Got the pimpettes for the ladies and the smooth operators for the brothers.
That's right. There you go. That's it.
Well, this request was from your fans, and we talking about tag teams. And I went to the Get Snap Galaxy once again, and I told them, just give me some names of some great tag teams. And I saw this list, and I'm actually impressed. Excuse me. I am impressed because they took it old school for most of these teams. We don't have not one current team on this list. And a lot of them, again, are old school. So shout out to y'all. So that's the type of fans we got. But before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to, once again, as I always do, USA Championship Wrestling. And I'm upset that I did not go to that show Saturday night because they crowned a new USA Tag Team Champions, and Razzle Dazzle, the team of Big Gravy and Dancing Charlie, are the new USA Tag Team Champions. I know to some that's probably going to be a shock if you've been following USA Championship Wrestling. I know a lot of people was picking the Star Twins to take it, but Big Gravy, Dancing Charlie are the new champions. Congratulations to them. I know they probably still partying from winning those belts. And also, if you go to Bad Superman TV, and I know you saw it, put a lot of old school footage from back when both you and I were in the business.
Yeah.
Took a match from Extreme Attitude Wrestling. But my guy back then, Gabriel Stalker, Italian heavyweight champion. See, their champ didn't want to put the title on the line. So we put the Italian title since he met the qualifications. If you go on Bad Superman TV, you'll see that match.
Oh, Johnny Bazooka, right?
Oh, Johnny Bazooka. That's right. And also I put the match when my group, The Movement, when we first won the TAJJ tag team titles, when we debuted a new member, got him in. So we had the American title and the tag belts.
Right.
Like I said, I have, and shout out to my man Adam Dunn, who was actually the owner of TAJJ Championship Wrestling. I had all the VHSs. He put it all on DVD for me. So we're going to be seeing a lot of those matches back from the Showdown on Summer, TAJJ Saturday morning, TCW Prime Time. What else is on here? We got Face Off and Total Chaos.
We got the classics. Oh, yeah.
I got the classics. So definitely be looking out for those. Because I'm definitely excited just to actually have them and go back and watch them. Because this is almost close to 20 years, 17 to 20 years memories.
Man.
We all was youngin'.
Man, I'm telling you, that holds a special place in my heart right there. Man, that's where we cut our teeth at.
Yeah, come our teeth. We talking about Dunn's Transmission, First Choice Auto Sale.
Yeah, met some wonderful people there like yourself and the girls, the girls, I still keep in contact with them. They have moved on and got You got married. Matter of fact, Peaches, she got married about a year ago. So happy 1 year
Yeah.
anniversary to her.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know how her husband let her come to Vegas
I'm
for that,
telling
but that's a good man right
you.
there.
I'm telling you, man.
Yep.
Shout out to her
I say
husband.
all of us. Yeah, I say all of us have grown up and moved on.
Yeah.
But be definitely looking for that on Bad Superman TV. If you have subscribed, do just like the Bad Superman say, bad things will happen to bad people. But we gonna jump into the show. Like I said, we talking about tag teams and a lot of names. And I'm just gonna throw some names out there. We gonna talk about them. Some might be a little older for some of you youngins. So again, as we always say, get your notebooks out, get the pens out, because you definitely gonna learn something. But I'm gonna start off with a team that most people know as the Bushwhackers, Luke
Oh,
Williams and Butch Miller.
now
But I'm not
before,
gonna talk about.
yeah, I was about to say, go ahead. I was just about to say, before
But
them, they were the sheep herders.
exactly. See, we're not gonna talk about the Bushwhackers.
No.
See, we're gonna talk about the sheep herders, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you go back to the Mid-South days, the championship wrestling from Florida, the Crockett days, the Bushwhackers that you know them as were probably one of the most dangerous tag teams out there.
Right. They used to bloody people up. They used to bite people in
And,
the heads and everything.
I mean, they used to beat folks up, and I remember when they had a feud with the Fantastics.
Oh my goodness.
And how they beat the hell out of Bobby Fulton.
Yeah, I remember that.
They beat that dude so bad.
Right.
It's amazing that when it came to WWF, it's like a totally different team. I mean, fans loved them, the kids loved them, but had the sheep herders came through around that time, you think they would have won the tag team titles?
Oh yeah, they should have. I believe they should at least have one run.
I know if they would have came in as the sheep herders, or they would have been dominant.
Oh yeah.
I would have loved them feud with Demolition.
Oh my God, just as the sheep
That
herders. Oh my God, you talking
the
about a
sheep,
fight?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You talking about if the sheep herders came in and not the Bushwhackers? I guarantee you they would have had some tag team gold in the WWF. But I do agree with you said. They should have had at least a run with them. But see, at that time,
Rock
they
and
were
roll.
so popular.
Yeah, you had to
They
rock
were
and
so
roll.
popular.
Right.
Yeah, but you go back to Mid-South, you're right. They feuded with the Rock and Roll Express. That was another good team they feuded with.
Right.
But when they brought Johnny Ace in as the New Zealand sympathizer.
Yeah, yeah.
And if y'all don't know, as John Laurinaitis, the former executive vice president of talent relations and former general manager of Raw and SmackDown.
Right, AKA
for those who
people
know,
power, yeah.
Yeah, for those who know, yes, he was a wrestler, dynamic dude.
Shane Douglas, that's right.
And he was winning tag team titles in Japan. So all that stuff he talked about in Japan, that was actually true.
Right.
But like I said, the sheep herders, when they came to WWF, I don't know when they realized, they was on there. They pretty much was just on there while they didn't want to be that dominant team. Let me tell you, had them sheep herders came there, we would have seen some fights.
Oh, no doubt about it. I remember the sheep herders actually came through Memphis one time. They came through the Mid-South Coliseum, and they were the same way here as they were when they was in Crockett for a little while.
The thing about it, they would have came through. You had all them young teams. You had the Young Stallions, Strike Force. Can't even forget about Strike Force.
Can't forget about them. Yeah.
I would love to see that feud. Right. But like I said, they brought them in. They was beating. They was pretty much the superstars and wrestling challenge teams. They wasn't beating the big time teams.
Right.
But yet they were still over. And they're in the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Now let's talk about. I'm gonna take you back on this one. Let's talk about. Well, actually, there were two names. At one time, they were known, and I believe they were in Memphis when they did this. They were the Freedom Fighters.
Yeah, I remember the Freedom Fighters. Yeah.
Justice Flash. But if you're Mid-South, and even I believe they came through in Memphis. No, I believe they were CWA. They came through.
Yeah, they did.
When they were the Black.
The Blade Runners. That's right.
And if you still don't know who I'm talking about, the the Blade Runner, they were known as Rock and Sting. And if you still don't know who I'm talking about, that is the Ultimate Warrior, and of course Sting.
Right.
You talk about two big, extremely green dudes.
Right. I mean, Sting was huge before he got small, a little smaller and a little bit leaner. Man, Sting was big, man. I didn't know that until,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, Sting was a big boy back then.
Yeah.
But around that time, he was young.
Right.
I think by the time he got to Mid-South and started teaming with Eddie Gilbert, that's when he really started slimming down and turned into the Sting that we ended up knowing and loving.
Right.
But what was so, it was being that you saw him in Memphis and you fought him, what was the fascination with them? Was it just two big dudes? It was in that learning tree phase?
Yeah, they was in that learning tree phase. And at the time, the Road Warriors was still, getting their feet on the ground. They was, starting to build a name for themselves. So I guess they were trying to imitate them in a way. But it was kind of bad because, you looking at, you got Rock and then you got Flash. That was their name. Well, Sting was Flash and Warrior was Rock.
Yeah, he was.
And so, when it was in Memphis, I was like, they was intimidating looking. Don't get me wrong, but I'm glad they got out of that real quick. Looking back at it now, I'm glad they, didn't do that no more. So I don't think that would have lasted, further. So.
And as you can see, they both had great singles careers. Right. Both of them are Hall of Famers. I can at least say I got to see the Ultimate Warrior, and you did too before he passed away, because that was the first time I ever saw the Ultimate Warrior live. Right. Even though he never wrestled, that was the first time I saw the Ultimate Warrior live. Then right after that Monday Night Raw, he passed away.
Man.
Let's see. I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna take it. We talked about Japan and we was talking about John Laurinaitis, so I'm gonna take it to Japan. Right. I'm gonna talk about a team called Big, Bad, and Dangerous. Get your notebooks out, people.
This may be notebook of the night here. Okay.
Because I know a lot of people have no idea who I'm talking about. Do you even know who I'm talking about?
I watched Japan back in the day, but not this team with this Big Bad and
Big, Bad, and Dangerous. There were two people who were definitely big, bad, and dangerous. They were former IWGP Tag Champs. So this is 1992.
Oh.
I'm talking about Bam Bam Bigelow.
Okay.
And Big Van Vader.
So that's what they were known as. Okay, I thought they just had Bam Bam and Vader. They didn't have a name. Okay, that's something new for me right there. Okay.
Yes. Big, Bad, and Dangerous.
Yeah, they were big, bad,
like I
and
said,
dangerous,
they won
all right.
In 92. That's a team I think they should have definitely kept going. Because both of them were big dudes. They were both agile. You go to Japan, see, they already loved Vader.
Oh, yeah.
Bam Bam was getting his niche in Japan. And you put them together.
That is an unstoppable force.
They should have brought that to the States. Could you just imagine, no matter where they would have went. Now, the question with him is, so 92, so that's around the time Vader was WCW bound, or if he wasn't in WCW yet.
90, was it he debuted? Was it?
No, he can't. No, but about 91.
Yeah, it was 91. I remember he wrestled. He was at Super Brawl. Did he debut? Yeah.
Because he was mostly in Japan. He was kind of.
That's when he had the helmet on with the smoke coming out of it. Remember that? He had that little set.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, I gotta stop for a minute because we got Monday Night Raw on. Braun Strowman basically. Okay, now I see how he won because he beat Keith Lee, but now I see how he did it. And I know a lot of people gonna be talking about Keith Lee. He already going. He already not going in the right
No.
direction.
You know what that reminds me
So
of?
that.
You don't mind me? It reminds me of Bret Hart when he went to
Oh,
WCW.
and he just paid him back and low blowed him
It's like
back.
they don't know what to do with him. Like,
Yep, so that's about to I see that's definitely about to be a robbery. But we're gonna get back into the show because we always like to
yeah.
pull a little breaking information on there. But I want to stay in Japan
Okay.
again. Talk about two more badasses. I'm talking about Stan the
I knew
Lariat
it. I
Hansen
knew it. Uh-huh.
and Bruiser
Man, you
Brody.
talk about two tough individuals. Oh my goodness. Them two there. You talk about that is a man, I'm telling you, that's destruction waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, because Stan Hansen by himself, that's dude I would
Mm-mm.
never want to
I
wrestle.
mean, he's
I wouldn't
man.
care if it was a squash match. If they just paid me to get in the ring with, I would not
No, I
wrestle
mean
that
he's
dude.
swinging that cowbell. I remember when he would come into the ring, he almost hit one of them Japanese guys in the head with it. I mean, he's swinging that thing recklessly. He got all that tobacco in his mouth, all coming down his chest and in his mouth and everything. Oh my goodness, that dude was a complete reckless individual.
Yes,
He
he
was
was a nut. Then you
Brody.
add Bruiser Brody, and this one Brody was way before fan with Brody. This one Brody, he didn't give.
Mm-mm.
Spelling Japan, he didn't give
No,
a
he
damn.
didn't.
And it's funny how they take these teams, they form them in Japan, but they never bring them to the States. I think the only one I can recall that they actually brought to the States that actually made sense is the one I'm about to talk about next. The Miracle Violence Connection, Doc and Gordy.
There you go. Underrated.
I thought I don't know, very underrated. I mean, this team was winning the All Japans, New Japans. Then they come in, they win the WCW and the NWA
Mm-hmm.
tag belts. Both are former UWF
Yep.
heavyweight champions. And both of them were two big, rough, tough,
Especially Terry
badasses.
Gordy. Oh my goodness.
There we go. That's a Tennessee
Yeah.
boy. Then you got a big
Yep.
Oklahoman.
Uh,
And we knew Terry Gordy from the Freebird on the Freebird days, and that's a segue to this question. Do you think Terry Gordy was better with Doc and Gordy or with
I
the
think with the
Freebirds?
Freebird. Now, don't get me wrong. Him and Dr. Death was a really good team, but he fit more with the Freebird because, see, you had Michael. He was pretty much the flamboyance. You got Terry, which is the bruiser of the group, and then you got Buddy Roberts. He pretty much was there to take the whoopings. You got to have somebody to take the whooping. But Buddy held his own.
Oh
But
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
Terry was
but
right.
yeah, definitely
And
did that.
see, yeah, but Terry was better with the Freebird because that elevated him. Him and Michael and Buddy. You know. I know Jimmy Jam didn't come in. I know Gordy was gone in. I think he was in the UWF when Jimmy Jam
No,
came in.
no, he was there
Right.
temporarily. When the first came, he was there temporarily, and then he just kind of smoothed his way out. But see, that's kind of a hard question because you got to kind of look at it from a couple perspective. One, who did he win more with? True that the Freebird name and gimmick and all that, yeah, that got him
But
out
yeah,
there.
him and Dr. Dev did win a lot though.
They won a lot together. But the Freebird name, that's what because I kind of look at it like had he either both teams just put him on
Right.
the map. I think he got more exposure internationally. That's what I was trying to say. He got more exposure internationally
Right.
with Dr. Death. And they just went over there and were just tearing
Right.
the house down. Talk about stateside, and yeah, that Freebird name got him over in the States. Dr. Death, Terry Gordy,
Right.
internationally. We about to take it super old school. See, we about to talk about the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. And I'm talking about all 4 members. I'm talking about Laws, Ole, Gene,
Right,
and
because it
On.
started first with Gene and Ole.
No, was that? Yeah,
Oh,
no, with
Gene and
Gene and
Laws,
Laws.
then Ole.
It was Gene
Okay.
and Laws,
Okay.
then Gene and Ole, then On. I'm gonna tell you one thing I liked about the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. They were consistent, and what I mean by consistent is their style did not change.
Yep.
They was that crew. They worked on a body part, then they didn't stop till it broke. Tag in, that person gonna work on that body part. That tag in, and they kept that tradition.
Even to this day, I remember C.W. Anderson. He did it. He mimicked Arn a lot, and he stayed on the body part. He did the same thing. See, that shows you the influence that the Andersons have in professional wrestling.
Oh, no doubt. And I think they to me, I don't think they got a lot of the recognition they deserve. Even because, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew was way before the Horsemen.
Maybe was the late 70s, early 80s.
And I think a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's 67.
67, right. See, I knew them when it was just Gene and Ole. That was me. At first.
I mean, because they straight, excuse me, they are straight old school.
I got one for you.
Now, out of all those.
Now, before you go ahead. I'll tell you mine before you continue. I'll tell you.
Now, I'm saying, and what else was good about them? They all knew how to talk. Because they could talk you, especially on and Ole, could talk you out your game. They can talk about your game. Don't even have to touch you. And they knew because they can see. They see you in pain. You show it. They gonna work it. And that thing that made them great. But the only disappointing thing about that is with Arn. Arn Anderson should have been a world heavyweight champion. As good as he was, he should have been a world heavyweight champion. At least, if anything, at least a United States heavyweight champion. Oh, yeah, you was a great national television champion.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. National champion, national tag team champion, world tag team champion. Oh, you were great, but you should have been more.
Definitely agree.
Now you was talking about. You said you had one. They might
about,
be on the list. That's what you got.
You talking about going back? How about the Crusher and the Bruiser?
Did I put the Crusher and the Bruiser on that list? I'm taking a look. I know they put a lot of AWA names, and they gave me a lot of names. No,
I thought they were twins at first because they look alike. And I'm like, you talk about some big dudes. My God. One of them had the cigar in his mouth. They just, you know how they talk. Yeah.
That's one of them dudes. That's one dude. See, to me, they was like the APA at a time. Just want to beat people up. both WCW Hall of Fame. That's one of them dudes. They'll play cards with you. Get drunk, start a fight. They'll go get the fattest woman in the club and take them back home. They got to at least be, like Crusher used to say, she got to be about 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Had the glasses on. Yeah, that one of them dudes. That between, you want to talk about guys like, you got Crush and the Bruiser, guys like the Funks, the Texas Outlaws.
Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch. That's right.
They don't make them. They don't make it like them no more. And let's talk about the Texas Outlaws. And Notebook passes back then. He was Dirty Dusty Rhodes.
Dirty Dick. That's right. Dirty Dick Murdoch.
You talk about one of those teams, and we all keep talking about teams that didn't care, that would beat people up. It's just funny that the Dusty Rhodes that most of us know and love and cut promos was that dude.
That's right.
And just the fact, and the way he broke up and he turned babyface. I mean, they told the story perfectly. It's on YouTube. Definitely go look that up. I remember when they tried to bring it back. I believe it was the late '80s. They kind of brought it back for a minute,
Yeah.
and Dick Murdoch turned
Mm-hmm.
on him again. But see, they don't make teams like that no more. They don't make teams that just like to. Well, they trying to now, but they don't make that legit tag team. That
Right.
all they do is just beat folks
That's
up,
a lost art.
just beat them. And that is a loss. So those legitimate, just straight heel,
Right.
tough tag team.
Mm-mm.
Don't make them like that no more. Let's look on this list here and see. We're talking about big, tough tag teams. Somebody put it on there. You know, one of
Oh
our
yes.
favorites, Doom.
One of my all time. Nope.
Should Doom have
I
broken
would
up?
as a kid I was sad about that. Cause I was watching, they were showing the recaps on Worldwide, and they showed where Butch Reed turned on Ron Simmons after they lost the tag title to the Freebirds.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, War
And I was
91.
kind of sad. I was crying and everything, man. It was sad because that was my favorite team, you know. And then of course I was mad at Butch. I was so mad at Butch and Teddy, man. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't wait to see what happened next week or whatever. But yeah, man, I don't think they should have broke them up.
What made Doom
Two
Doom?
big black, right,
I'm gonna ask something like this. You got two big, like I said, two big,
right,
jacked up athletes. They're both athletes,
right,
both football players. I mean, you go back, Butch Reed back in the day, Hacksaw Butch Reed, Mid South. Both of them came through the Florida
right,
territory, through the Mid South territory.
right.
So
And
they were
see,
no
Butch was the
strangers to that.
veteran, and Ron was the new kid at the time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You try to put them under a mask,
Right,
which they definitely did a poor job of that. Because you had to be a fool to not
right. Because
know
they was
at
the only
least
black
one
people
of
in the
them.
company.
And Ron, you could tell by Ron Simmons'
Right. And you see
physique
that
and his
mustache
demeanor
through the mask.
who
Yeah.
he was.
Right.
And that's what made. I mean, they weren't just like
Right.
this big for nothing. They knew what they were doing in that ring. Like I said, you said it. Butch was the vet. You know, Ron was still young. You know, getting his getting that feet wet. Then when they had Teddy,
Yeah.
when they added Teddy, I think Teddy could have took him way over the moon. Woman kind of got him to
Right.
to the Concord, so to speak. Because I
Right.
like
Because
when
see,
women
what
had him
happened
too.
was the story with that was, on television, Teddy sold the contract of the skyscraper. He was managing the skyscrapers at the time, and so remember Wrestle War 90. They was in Teddy was
Yep.
getting beat up. Doom saved him. They pulled him out to the side, right, and then he gave the contract to Paul Dangerously. Gave him the contract, and so that's how he
Yep.
managed Doom, because he saved him in there. I think it was the Road Warriors and uh, who was it? I forgot, the skyscrapers, the Road Warriors and the skyscraper, and then Doom. Teddy was getting beat up, and then Doom came and saved him. They had the tuxedos on. Yeah, and
Oh
so
yeah,
that's how that
definitely remember
happened,
that.
and then history was made after that.
Yeah, you definitely right. They should have never
Right.
broke them up, because I would have loved to see exactly
Mm-hmm.
how far they definitely would have went. I mean, 'cause they had great feuds, good feuds with the Rock and Roll Express, the Steiner
Mm-hmm.
brothers, the Road
The
Warriors,
Horseman. You're right.
the Horsemen.
Right.
I mean, they had some damn good feuds. And like I said, woman put them on the
Right.
Concord. Teddy Long
Because I
shot
think
him over the
also, I
moon.
think their best rivalry was against the Steiners. Because they actually won the tag belts
Oh
from the
yes,
Steiners. Yeah, they had some
oh
good
that,
matches.
yeah.
Capital Combat was my favorite one though, out of all of them.
Oh, hmm. Oh, that's most
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Well, let's talk about a team. I wasn't really a fan of them. A lot of people, especially if you didn't follow Japan, really didn't know this team. I wasn't a big fan of it, and you'll probably understand why as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the Hellraisers, and that's consisted of Kensuke Sasaki,
Right.
which he was known as the Power Warrior,
Yeah.
and Road Warrior Hawk. This at the time, I believe Animal was in, and
Yeah.
he was out with a bad injury. I know he was out, and again, one of those teams that was known in Japan. Hawk and Kensuke Sasaki, who was,
No.
by the way, no knock on Sasaki. No knock on Sasaki. Sasaki, big. He was
Oh
big. He
yeah.
was strong as all outdoors. Didn't look it, but he was strong as all outdoors.
Yep.
Former United States heavyweight champion, winning titles in Japan. Even changed his look a little bit
Right.
to look like a Road Warrior.
Well,
What were your thoughts
I
on
didn't
that?
know at the time. I didn't know what was going on. I thought they went their separate ways at first. I'm like, what is Hawk doing by himself? I'm always seeing it with Animal. You know, and so coming to find out later that he just went to Japan because like you said, Animal was out with an injury at the time. So um, I really wasn't feeling that either. That's like the hide and rake and Animal thing. You know, yeah, that what it felt
Oh,
like to me.
yeah,
Right.
that was a failure right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, they try. I mean, sometimes you got to throw it on the wall, see if it stick. But like I said, that was one of those I was not feeling
Mm-mm.
because it's not what we're used to.
No.
You can't just dress it up and try
Exactly.
to make it something that is not. Let's see, we going down the list. Now this one was an interesting one. To me, this is one of those, in my opinion, one of the most underrated tag teams in the AWA. I'm talking about Ray the Crippler Stevens and
Mm.
Nick Bockwinkel.
That's a good one there.
To me, that's the most underrated tag team in the AWA. You got Nick Bockwinkel, former AWA World Heavyweight Champion. And what's good about this team? They
Right.
both were legit wrestlers. Like I said, you talked about,
Right.
we talked about the Minnesota Wrecking Crew earlier. They had their style. They had their style. They were wrestlers. Ray Stevens, the name said it all. We talked about, and nobody don't like to say that, but I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
Chris Benoit. He called himself the Crippler.
That's right.
Ray
And
Stevens was
Nick
the
Bach.
original Crippler.
Right.
He will
Right. And
stretch
Nick
your
Bockwinkel, he
limbs
was
all
the
over the
original
place.
styler and profiler. Right. And he
Right, especially for the AWA.
right. He
That
could
had
talk. He was
that big ugly
articulate,
belt. And using big words that
Right.
we probably still don't know what they mean, most
Excuse
of
me.
them. And like I said, most people say, well, who's Nick Bockwinkel? He was the
Mm-hmm.
former commissioner of
Right.
WCW.
Wrestled Jerry Lawler
Great wrestler.
in Memphis a lot.
I mean, he looked very.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember that feud. That
No
was one of
pad
them
leg.
feuds. Again, look that up, people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially all you youngins. Because Nick Bogwin, when you look at him, he was very simple. Had the towel. He almost was
Right.
like a Bob Backlund 2.0. And the mom had a towel, but
Mm-hmm.
he was a straight up wrestler. And I mean, like I said, they were one of the most underrated teams in the AWA because we talked about Destruction Crew. You talked about the Midnight Rockers. You talked about
Pretty boy Doug Summers.
Playboy Buddy Rose
Mm-hmm.
and Pretty Boy Doug Summers. We talk about a team like that, but they don't talk about. We
Yep.
talked
Jesse
about the
Ventura
East
and
West
Adrian
connection.
Adonis. Mm-hmm.
Nah, before he was adorable, but they don't give a lot of love
Right.
to Bockwinkel and Ray. Now, next team I'm gonna talk about, another team I think was very underrated, but they was ahead of their time. Especially if you go back and look at, especially like I said, I grew up Mid South, watched a lot of Mid South. That's how I really got to know about them.
Oh yeah.
Hector and Chavo Guerrero. You saw them. They
That's
came
right.
to the CWA and did their thing. They were
All the high
way ahead of their
flying
time. The
and the
stuff they was
technical
doing.
stuff, they were a lot. They was technically savvy, very technically savvy.
So, the Mid South League, they loved them. But no, when they came to
No,
Memphis,
they
they
was
was not
heels.
real liked in
Yeah.
Memphis for some reason. But like I said, they won a lot of regional, tag team championship, and they stayed in the South a lot. One of
Right.
them teams, they stayed in the South a lot. They got their name out, and you look at them, you look at them, and they were great shape. They
No,
were fast. You
no
couldn't
way.
keep up with them, and they definitely should have got more credit
That's true.
than a lot of tag teams out there. Cause I know when I look at the Mid South and I look at them, I'm like again, we're gonna say it again. We talked about families and styles. Chavo
Right.
and Eddie, that's them all. That was them. That was Hector, Chavo, and let me put it out there.
Chavo
A lot of people
Classic.
don't know. I'm not talking about Chavo Guerrero. I'm talking about
Right.
Chavo, what you
Chavo
may know him
Classic.
as Chavo
Right.
Classic, late Chavo Guerrero. Either.
Right.
Y'all need to. I'm like Chavo Guerrero
Right.
Jr.
Daddy
wrestling in the
wrestled
878.
him and
No, we
Hector.
talking about Daddy. And I mean, you looked at him. You probably saw him when he was summer run. He won the cruiserweight title back in the early
Right.
2000s. You go back to the 70s and the
That's
80s.
right.
Him and Hector was off the chain. Definitely no doubt about that. But now we're about to talk about two innovators, especially for African Americans. They set the tone. We wouldn't be talking about teams like
Oh yeah.
Doom if it wasn't for the Soul Patrol. We're talking about Rocky Johnson
First black
and Mr.
tag team
USA
champion.
Tony Atlas. Again, you had first black tag team champions, and you talk about power and speed combined.
Man,
I
very
mean, them dudes
impressive.
were in awesome shape. Beat the
Right, and the
wild
Samoans
Samoans, and
wasn't
when
no
they did,
slouches
that
either.
was history. I mean, oh no. The Samoan one of them teams, you had to
Right.
bring your A, B, all the way to Z game to beat them. And they came in there and made history. They didn't have a long, lengthy
Right.
title reign, but it's one of those title reigns you remember. Can't forget, because again, they made history. First
That's right.
black tag team champions. And I can say, I believe you was I believe you was with me. I know with Jerry Lawler's birthday bash at the Mid-South Coliseum, and we got the opportunity
Yeah, you were
to meet
telling me
Rocky
about that.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you was with me for that. I think you was with me, but I think you was with me for that particular.
Yeah, I
I
remember
think you
that.
was
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
still getting organized. You was with me for that event. Cause I know Rocky Johnson was there. So I know
Yeah,
we
that's
met
right. I was with you.
Jackie
Yeah.
Fargo.
Yep.
Yeah, we had met Jackie Fargo that night. And see, back then I didn't really know how significant that was until some years passed. But I didn't really know. I knew of Jackie Fargo, but I didn't know,
Right.
the mark he
He was
left,
like
especially for
the
Memphis
second
wrestling.
version of Sputnik.
Just like
I'm talking about as far as planting that name in Memphis. Yeah, he was like the Hulk Hogan of
right,
Memphis. Because everybody loved Jack. Yeah. Right.
and that's exactly what he was. And the fact that we saw him, he took the time to shake our hand and just speak, even if it was like just for a few seconds. I mean, that's stuff you don't forget. Just like when I talked about on one podcast about the Dory Funk thing. I said everything would have been good had we didn't have that situation happened. But like I said, he fist bumped my kid, and although my kid don't know, how great Dory Funk was, when you get older, you're gonna know. 'Cause that's a story we're gonna talk about. I'm like, you met an NWA legend. I mean Dory Funk.
Former NWA
with a bad, you know what? Still have a school in Florida. The fucking controversy, still bang
still
TV,
training,
still bringing wrestlers up. And he could be still training. He could be at home relaxing, watching westerns or doing what he do. But no, he getting the future ready. And from what I saw when he bought two guys from USA, from his school to USA Championship Wrestling, still doing a hell of a job. Let's see. And again, I know a lot of people are like, what about this team? What about this team? What about this team? There's a lot of teams. And I'm not going to go through all of them because you already know how great they were. You've probably heard them many times. I just wanted to, just bring up some names that especially now y'all didn't really think of. And we like the Rockers, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. The majority know them from the WWF. Majority of them know, how they went their separate ways. They were known as tag team specialists.
I don't think
How many of you knew them as the Midnight Rockers in the AWA? How many of you knew?
That's right.
They were in Memphis. Because that's when the AWA was working with the CWA.
That's right.
So you got to think, the AWA, CWA, so they doing Memphis, Evansville, Indiana, Kentucky. Then they go to the AWA. That's the Minnesota area.
They used to do run shows in Lexington, Kentucky at the Rupp Arena.
So Kentucky.
Right.
Yep. Then you talk about Texas. They all over the place. To when the Midnight Rockers came to Memphis,
they were heels,
they're one of them teams that were not liked. But the AWA, they were one of the most popular. One of the most popular. If you really want to go back and type in Shawn Michaels in Mid-South. And look how young, this was way before Marty Jannetty. This when Shawn Michaels was grinding his teeth. Because whether y'all know, Shawn Michaels been wrestling since the early mid 80s.
Right.
Shawn Michaels been
worked in world class for a minute too, right?
Young. Shawn Michaels.
Oh wow.
Shawn Michaels was like Opie Cunningham. And that's the inside. That's an old Eddie Murphy joke if y'all don't get it. But Shawn Michaels have been wrestling for a long time. Then became a tag team. Then became a tag team legend. Now, got a question on that. Had the Rockers not broke up?
No.
Do you think we have seen the Shawn Michaels we know now?
No, that needed to change because that moment there changed his whole career. He come out, he was you could tell that there was dissension there, at the end they shook hands and everything. I said, watch him turn. And lo and behold, super kick, heard around the world. Threw him through the glass, that infamous thing where he threw him through the glass. Yeah, and history was made. No, we wouldn't have saw that if he was still teaming with Marty. He wouldn't have been the Heartbreak Kid.
Oh, no. And then you got to think about it. Say if they did last, and they eventually would have broken them, I think it would have been too little, too late kind of thing. I think they broke them up at the right time. And it kind of reminds me of the Rock situation. Rock came in, he was a baby face, he was smiling, won the IC title.
Yeah.
He tried. He tried to do it the good way, but when he got to start speaking and he talked about die, Rocky died, and we got to hear him
Right.
talk, we got to see that greatness. And that's the same with Shawn Michaels. But sometimes, you gotta
Like Triple H, he couldn't
you
have done
gotta
that Hunter
separate.
Hearst
You
Helmsley
gotta
gimmick,
separate yourself.
For too
That
long. Doing the curtsy and all that. He couldn't have done that for too long. Mm-hmm.
that leads into my segue.
Right.
What I'm about to say next. We talked about Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I
Yep.
personally don't think we would have never known Triple H without Shawn Michaels. We would have never seen Triple H because they got together. They were Hunter Hearst Helmsley and
Right.
Triple H. They didn't want to team up together. They ain't like each other like that. And then we just slowly started
Right.
seeing the
Because he went from
transition
the
of Triple H.
doing the curtsy and being all this, fancy dude to blue blood. Right.
Being the blue blood.
Yeah, that changed.
Then when he won, King of the Ring, we started
Oh, he
seeing
really
that
transitioned
transition.
then.
Then once DX was born, we really got to see. But again, that goes to the question: had it not been for Shawn Michaels, we would have
Nope.
never seen it. We would have never known who the game was. The game would have never existed.
Oh yes, very
And a
much
lot of
so.
people
He
may
needed
want to
Shawn.
argue that, well, he didn't need Shawn Michaels. Yes, he did. He definitely needed Shawn Michaels. And on the flip side of that, Shawn needed him because Shawn was on his way out. Shawn was hurting. And they needed each other because, like I said, DX probably would have been dead in the water had not, Triple H changed his style and Shawn Michaels, not been there. Then when they came back,
Right. And there was still that same chemistry.
yeah, they were older, but it's like they never left. Now let's see. Go down the list. I know we talked about the Von Erichs. And we talked about the Von Erichs, and we talked about, would they be bigger outside of world class? But this particular, and so we're gonna talk about the Von Erichs. Out of all the members they had, out of all the brothers and cousins and whomever they had,
Oh, that's simple.
who would have worked better as
Yeah,
a
but you
team?
say yours first, then I'll say mine.
My my personal opinion, from a wrestling standpoint, I would have said David and Kevin. I think because, like I said, David was the wrestler. David was being groomed. Had he not passed away, he would have won the NWA title and probably been a damn good champion. Kerry is better single. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I think David and Kevin, I think to me would have been a great tag team in and out of Texas. Because I know, because Kerry, to me, like I said, he's good on his own at Cinderella, but I don't think he was ready for what came.
Right.
Especially when he won the NWA title. We know why you won it, but you wasn't ready for that. You went to the WWF and became an Intercontinental Champion. To me, you wasn't ready for that. And it just looked weird of seeing Kerry Von Erich outside of world class. But like David and Kevin, to me, hands down, would have been a great.
At first, I was gonna say Kerry and Kevin
outside
because
Texas.
You had the speed and then you got the power. But I think if Kerry wasn't had the problems that he had, I think if Kevin was with him, I think he wouldn't have been the way he was. That's why I say tag him and him be a tag. That way he don't have to do much, and that way Kevin can keep an eye on him. so he won't steer in the wrong
Right.
direction.
You know what? That's definitely
Yeah.
a good point. You know, I ain't even think about that. But let's talk about a team. You know, we've talked about it before. A lot of people have talked about it before, and they got broken up way too soon. I'm talking about the Hollywood Blondes. I'm not talking about the way old school from 60 and 70. I'm talking about Pillman and Austin. And again,
Mm-hmm.
one of those teams they just threw together, didn't think it was gonna work, and they made it
And see,
work.
that one, Dusty
And
wanted
you
them
break them
together,
up when it was hot.
but Dusty was, I think he was out. They ousted him out of the WCW. So there's nothing he could have done to keep them together. They said it was the powers that be that did that. It wasn't Dusty, you know. But if Dusty was still there, they would still be teaming up.
And then right. And I think we probably still would have seen Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because I think, let's just say, I think Pillman's already, if they would have come together and Pillman and they both got released for whatever reason, I still think that whole ECW
Right.
thing would have happened. It just would have they would have been in ECW together cutting promos. And we still
Mm-hmm.
probably would have seen Stone Cold because you got
And
Stone
roughshod
Cold,
through there.
loose
You
cannon.
know, if Brian Pillman was the loose cannon,
That's
I'm
still
talking
a
about when
match
he,
made.
transitioned, and then you have Stone Cold, where the upcoming of Stone Cold, them two together, that would have been a dangerous team.
Yes. And like I said, I still think
Right.
we would have seen the Stone Cold that we see today. We still would have did it. We would have won. We never would have saw the Ringmaster.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we would have never saw. I wouldn't mind if they both won $1 million team. If they had to put them with the $1 million man, I wouldn't mind seeing them together with the $1 million team. They would have been
Oh,
done.
of course.
They would have ran. You talk about running roughshod. They would have ran roughshod in the Attitude Era.
Right.
You know, because we talked about that. What if the Blondes fought DX?
Right.
That could have been one of the feuds that can go
That's right.
on a long time. Like I said, we be talking about a team like the Steiners and Bill Money, teams like that. We got the fabulous ones. We could have talked about Midnight Special, Rock
Right.
and Roll Special. See, those names, y'all know how great they are. Y'all
The
knew,
powers of pain.
that they revolutionized
Mm-hmm.
tag team wrestling. But we talk about the Powers of Pain, and we talk about teams that just get put
Oh,
together to see
absolutely.
if it was gonna
No
work.
doubt.
Lawler and Dundee was one of the biggest to me.
Man, not only were they great rivals, but they was a great tag team. Won the AWA tag titles. Yeah.
Right, you talk
Mm-hmm.
about on AWA, you name it, they did. That's one of
Enemy,
those. You
my
talk
friend.
about love, hate relationships. What's that phrase they use? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly.
It don't get no
What
serious
made it
than them
work was,
two.
they put their
I mean,
egos aside,
what made it work?
and once they did that, they jailed well. They didn't want at each other's throats. They weren't trying to upstage one another. They didn't do that. They went in, was a nice fluid tag team, got the job done. They went in, took care of business, got the job done. Right.
And was feuding with anybody that came through here. If
Right.
tag team came through, you going, just like I say, from an individual standpoint, if
Mm-hmm.
you was a big
And then
name,
when
you
they got
going through
mad at
Lawler. If
each
it was
other,
a
they
big name
fight each
tag
other
team, you going
again.
through Lawler and Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
They'll fight each other. They go on there to being sawed off, runs, and all that other good stuff.
Nope. Mm-mm.
But do
They
you
were
think
just
they got
known
the
as
credit they deserve
AWA
as a
tag
tag
champs.
team on a
I
big
think they could have
scale?
went further, but on the regional side, I'm talking about territorial wise, I can't see them going like to a big company. They can, but I don't think they would have done them like that. I think they would have stayed more territorial at the time, like going
And you know that,
right.
and the song, cause just like the
I
Midnight
was talking
Express,
about
they were
Conjuring and
territorial
Eden.
for a
Right,
long time. I'm talking about the original. Talking about Conjuring Eden. Conjuring Eden, they were territorial
hmm
for a long time, especially like that Louisiana, Mississippi, that
right.
Alabama area. They went to Mid South, then they went to Crockett. And speaking of, since we bring up the Midnight Express,
I
because you
actually
know
liked
they had their members.
uh,
Which version works
Eden
for you?
and Lane. Eden and Lane was the chemistry they had. Nothing against say now Dennis and Eden
Because
had great chemistry too. They were pretty much more like beat you up Midnight Express, you know. But you put Stan Lane in there, you know, he coming off the Fabulous ones with
right,
Steve Kern. So he's their entertainer. That not only they could beat you up, but was Stan pretty much was the entertainer of the group.
right,
So uh they were more entertaining. And then added Jim Cornette to the mix, you know, put him, you know, make him entertaining. I think they were more entertaining and more they was more better, you
right.
know, than than that. So
Now, and we talked about the Midnight Express. You know, when they had the feud with the quote unquote original,
mm,
which was Condry
say
and
under the
Randy
two,
Rose
right? Yeah.
under the tutelage, like Gorilla Monsoon used to say,
Yeah, that made sense
under the
because,
tutelage of
you know,
Paul E.
Dennis
Dangerous.
felt
Did you agree with
abandoned,
that?
you know, like he felt like, why'd you ain't acknowledging me? Because I'm the original, you know. And so Paul Dangerously, you know, he kind of put that in his head, like, why you ain't recognize him, you know? Why you throwing him away? Stuff like that. So yeah, it made a lot of sense. And I enjoyed that rivalry actually. Yeah, it was good.
Oh
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed the ride. I remember when we
The
met
Omen.
them. Matter of fact, I believe it was a Legend show. It was at the
Yeah, we
Omen.
met
We got to meet them. We got to meet. It was Condry and Eaton, and
right.
then we
He
got
said,
to
no,
meet
no,
the Rock and
I'm
Roll
Ricky,
Express.
yeah.
Cause we asked Ricky. I said, "Are you Ricky or Rich?" And and that was the first time
Right.
I got to see the Midnight and the Rock and Roll still going at it. And
See,
so,
to this day.
speaking of the Rock and Roll, still going actively to this day, still
That was
going.
for the
It
ninth
wasn't that
time.
long ago,
Yeah.
maybe about years ago, they won the NWA tag belts, which
Mm-hmm. That like the early
and that was
80s.
the
Yeah.
original with the big bird on them.
Right.
That was
That's when
all
Ricky
the
Steamboat and Jay Youngblood held
NWA belts.
them. Ooh, we. Well, I went too
And
far.
right, I mean, and
Uh,
they going and going strong. And if I'm not
uh,
mistaken, I believe Ricky Morton's son
Talking about
is
Todd
not
Morton.
relevant because I saw
No,
a
that's his
picture
dad.
when they had a picture of Brian Pillman and Ricky Morton.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an event going. Well, that's his dad. I forgot what his son name is, but they had a picture of Brian Pillman and Ricky
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Morton
that's him.
from WCW. They had Brian Pillman Jr. and his son. They said the legacy continues. I said they still. I said I mean, they still going. And again, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about why they do still wrestle at their ages. Again, I
You
think they like
still
it. And Ricky Morton have a school, so he's bringing up the future, and they can still draw, especially down south. The Rock and Roll Express gonna draw just
right.
like how Lawler draw in Tennessee. The Rock and Roll Express can draw in Tennessee and all these other states. They can still draw. So that also says a lot about what
That's
we
right.
got as far as talent right now for the younger generation. Y'all need to step your
Now
games
I
up.
know before we get out of here,
You definitely
I
need to
want to
step
give a shout out to
your
Kobe
game up.
Carino.
So
He had just had a tryout for WWE, and I hope he makes it because I
okay.
like his work. He worked just like his daddy. Look just like him. Right. He doing that kind of king of old school type
Just look
gimmick,
just
you know,
like
like
him
his
too, just
daddy
a skinny
did. So
version of it.
shout out to him, man. I hope he makes it.
And while you saying, I want to give a shout out to Bukadao. He wrestles in Wildcat Sports. Shout out to Luke Hawks and those guys. He has actually signed to go to Major League Wrestling out there in Florida. The former Wildcat Sports heavyweight champion. So I hope you go down there. I hope you tear it up. And next time we see you, you're the new MLW middleweight champion. I know you're gonna go to that division. I mean, that is a big deal, especially for those guys. 'Cause he's very loyal to Wildcat. They made him who he is. And when they made that announcement, I mean, as a fan, I was definitely proud of it. And like I said, I hope he goes down to MLW, and I hope he tears it up. But
yeah, I gotta get back
we
to
about
the
to get
party,
out of
man.
here.
They already knocking on my door
Shut
now.
it down for
They
the
already
night.
down
I
in
know
the
Pim,
lobby.
he got to get back to party. I mean, I know the phones is ringing. I know the ladies. I know the ladies want to know. They probably done ran out of champagne, so they probably need to go get some more. But again, before we get out of here, always we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for listening to us. www.snapcustoms.com. You got ideas for the show, just like we did for this one. Shoot us a message, let us know. You actually want to get some custom action figures, shoot us a message. Boss man sees the emails, I see them too. You know, we could possibly make that happen. Get ready for Wednesday night. Another episode of Wednesday Night Q&A. We'll probably do a Hell in a Cell prediction show, which I forgot was actually this Sunday. We got one on that. And you know, y'all keep listening, and we're going to keep doing this. But again, thank you so much. We love y'all. We out of here. Move. Go get your party on. My boring self probably about to go to bed. But until then, I'm going to keep saying it. Thank you so much.
Peace.
And as always, y'all know,